Hi everyone, Dorota Palicka, international nail artist and educator here, and today we are going to paint some one-stroke flowers. Absolutely stunning design, and I have really enjoyed doing this look. You can have a wee preview of it in here. You know guys, this is one of my favorite techniques, so there is lots of tutorials of how to paint one stroke with the acrylic paints, and I hope you will enjoy this one as well. So let's start. A bit of different one stroke because I will use also some colorful background. You have seen me doing it on kind of plain background, but I thought it would be nice to do it something different, and this is quite nice spring design. I'm also trying to use different colors as well, so we will work like with the violet purple color. So for this design you are going to need the transfer foil gel and some transfer foil. So I'm going to paint a coat over the buffed tip. So if you do it on the client, you would just finish doing the client nails and then just apply a thin coat of the foil gel glue. And this is a gel which I use to get a full coverage of the foil. So just a nice and thin layer through the entire tip and then give it a cure. I'm going to cure it for 60 seconds. I have just cleaned my brush because I had some particles of the dust in there. And then I'm going to do it exactly the same on this one. And then on the third one. And actually the foil which I have picked, I'm not sure if I would like it on its own, but because we are doing a one stroke on top of it, I really like it. And I hope you really like it too. I want to kind of do it in a gradient way, so I will have a few different colors because that's how this transfer foil looks. Now, I'm not going to put this one to the lamp yet because I will have too many tips. And I want to work out the timing. Now, that's the transfer foil which we are going to use. So it comes in boxes and they are all sort of different designs. Like I have used in the past this ones and this one. I need to do still the design with this transfer foil because I feel it looks amazing. Actually, it would be nice for a Valentine's Day as well. Now, that's the transfer foil which we are going to use. And I have already used those yellow and a kind of orangey color. So the next one is green and blue. Okay, so I'm just cutting a small piece of that. And then the next one after that is some purple and pink. We might actually do maybe 3. And then some blue one. Okay, so I have just cut some small pieces. My first tip is ready. The other one still needs 30 seconds. And I'm going to start with this green, so it just goes with the rest of the design. What you want to do is place it there and don't touch it with the other side, otherwise the foil will wrinkle. And then once you've got it in, all you have to do is rub it quite a few times until the foil really sticks well. You have to do it kind of quick. I mean, obviously working on the display tips is more time consuming. I find that doing it on the client, I think, is much easier. Okay, and then once I'm happy with this side, I can start. You can see it took really well in here because the foil starts to separate. So once it starts to separate, you can lift this places up. And if you lift this places up, you have loosened the foil, so the foil is not going to wrinkle as much. Okay, and then I can go and quickly rub another particle there. Rub it really well, and now I can lift it a bigger chunk and keep rubbing on the top. So I'm going to rub it on the top now. And then that's the entire design ready. So I'm just pulling the transfer foil. And I've got a full beautiful coverage with some letters in there. Okay, I need to apply the top coat over it because if you want to paint with the one stroke, I prefer it painted on the matte surface. So I'm just applying a top coat. And then give it a cure. Okay, at the same time, I've got 60 seconds to cure this tip. And the other one is ready, so I can go and pick up another piece of foil. So that was this one. You could also start doing from the top to bottom, like so. It's just so you don't apply it on the entire tip straight away. Like those tips are quite curved. If you've got the client which got pretty flat nails, you could probably do it in a one go and apply it on the entire design. But because the tips are very curved, it would cause those wrinkling. Actually, without of this is much easier. Okay, that's it ready here, so I can loosen it and then go to the other side. Sorry for doing it in the fingers rather than on the tip, but it's just comfier. And then I can just pull it and I've got another design. Actually, I'm very curious how the one stroke will look on this tip because it looks so nice. And then give it a cook. And then the last one. So I wouldn't pull it until I'm sure that the foil separates, okay? So you want to see the separation of the foil first. Then you can loosen it a little bit. And move on into the next part. Okay, if you can see it, I have pulled it too soon in one place, which I didn't wrap it. Don't move the foil and just wrap it in there. And then you can just lift it off. Okay, I've got another one. I actually love it in blue and purple. And then apply the top coat. Give it a cure. It's completely different type of the designs. So I'm actually looking forward to see it, how it will look on each color. Now my next step is to buff those tip. Just to give it a couple scratches so you can paint the one stroke over it. Clean the dust. And then do it on the next tip. This one actually looked like some bubbles there. And the last one. And I would do it exactly the same on the client. So normally when I apply a full coverage foil on the client, I am applying a thin layer of the base gel and then the top coat over it to make sure the foil stays in. Because we are applying the top coat twice, I don't need to do this step. So we are just going to straight into the acrylic paints. And the color which I'm going to use is a violet. Actually, they are coming in a new packaging now as well, under our name. So I'm so chuffed for it. Then I just close it. And then we've got white one. So I quite like to use the baby wipe. When I'm opening up, you go and twist just like this, squeeze out the paint, and then you close it back, cleaning also the top with your wipe. Okay, and then the green, so that's a number 09 green, and then close it. We are also going to add a drop of the yellow. And then we can start painting. So for this type of flowers, I'm going to use the One Stroke Level 1 brush because it's quite large brush. I've got some, I mean large, it's large compared to the Master. You can see the difference in the size. So it's actually almost twice as big. So I have cleaned my brush and then I'm going to pick up white and those violet. Mix it well. So you can pick up your paint like this and start painting, but usually you wouldn't get as nice blending. So I like to kind of spend more time on mixing my paints because I find that then the blending is a bit nicer. Okay, I'm going to paint first of all some like half part of the flower. So let me scratch this one a bit more, and we are going to paint a flower in here. I'm starting with a kind of almost straight brush, a little bit at the angle, and then I'm going to start putting the paint to the top, then coming down, and you can see it, I'm kind of using more of a massaging movement. If we're working quick with the one stroke, it almost looks like we are shaking the hand, but it isn't as much of the shaking. If you would shake your hand too much, so I'm kind of like massaging it and lifting my hand up. Okay, so that's how it looks in a slow motion. And then when someone is painting pretty fast, it looks completely different, especially in a camera. So that might be very confusing and very, very tricky. Okay, so when I'm painting faster, it looks completely different if I'm painting slower. Keep that in mind, guys, if you are learning how to do the one stroke. Okay, then I'm going to do some single petal in here, another one, and another one. And we have painted beautiful flower in here. I have wet my brush, so each time when I don't use my brush, I like to keep it water on it so the paint doesn't dry. Okay, and then we are going to clean it and pick up another color. So this other color is going to be white and green. Mix it well. And then just add some green detail, not too much because there is quite a lot of green color here already. So just like 2 single leaves. I'm going to leave this one for a second. It is already dry, but I'm just going to leave it so I can do the same before I swap to the smaller brush. Okay, so on this one, we are going to change the color slightly because I'm scared it's not going to be 100% visible. So I'm just adding a drop of the magenta color in. And I'm going to use the mixture of the purple and magenta in there. And this is the mixture which I love the most, guys. Like, I do really love this mixture the most. I think it's the prettiest ever combination when you've got a drop of this purple in your magenta. I didn't mix the paint really well, and now this time I'm going to paint a slightly bigger size flower. So going to the top, coming down. Another petal, coming down, and another one. Pick up a drop of the paint. The paint which you are picking up needs to kind of feels quite smooth. If it's feeling rough, that means the paint is a little bit too dry or your brush is getting too dry. So what I do then is I'm dipping in my brush and kind of remove the excess of the of the paint and pick up and excess of the water, because if you've got too much water in there, you are not going to get a good coverage, okay? Because then you are kind of almost working like with the watercolor paints in there. And another petal just in there. Now, because the colors are kind of very similar to the background, I'm just going to use a second layer to make things even more pigmented and more visible. So I have mixed my paint and I'm just going quickly with the second layer. When you're painting the second layer, you need to make sure the first layer is dry. And also I suggest like you kind of working a little bit wetter as well, just because the texture underneath is slightly different than if you're painting on a fresh tip. This is also good for someone who is just starting painting one stroke, that you can kind of indicate where the petals are going to be and then just go over it to perfect the shape. Again, I have picked up a drop of the water. And I've got the flower ready there. On the side, we are going to paint a slightly different flower, like half of the flower. And I wanted it here for a change. And because I've got it there, I'm trying to make it more pigmented, so I'm painting much slower and I'm doing this kind of motion where I lift my hand up. So this way my petal is going to be really beautifully pigmented in a one go, and it's really standing out from the previous petals, from the background, because the background is more blue in there. Okay, so we've got another one. Now on this one, I can go actually purple again. And I really like this part, so I'm not going to hide it. I'm going to place my flowers more on the side. And I want more white this time as well, just because we are painting purple on top of the purple. I don't like to paint in this side. I've got more of the control when I'm painting to the right side, but quite often we use the paint which is on the one side of the brush, and I quite like to use the other paint which I've got on the other side of the brush as well. Now another petal there. This one is a little bit invisible, so take that into the consideration. That's you kind of painting almost in the air. And then another petal. Again, I wanted, actually this looks beautiful in these colors. Just a little paint, little water. I didn't dry out my brush, so it has a little bit too much water. That's why I'm picking up the paint so many times. That's a nice consistency now. You have to feel it. You have to really feel it, this creamy consistency. And I'm just touching up some of the petals, like this one. I can still see through the background and I don't want this look. So I have added a little bit of water. Nice and creamy consistency, and now I'm going to give a second layer into this petal. Okay, so we have painted another flower. Let's add a couple of the leaves, not too many. So I've got my green and a white. And I'm just going to add a wee tiny leaf in here. And a small leaf in there. I don't want to cover this bubble here, so I'm just going to go more to the side. And then a couple leaves in here. To the top, and then coming down. That's plenty. Let's play with the middle. So I'm cleaning my brush like from the excess of the paint and leave some water in there so the water can soak in. And then using the D-liner brush, we are going to add some green color inside. Okay, so some green color inside. When painting with the liner brush, I'm usually working much more watery. So quite a lot of water on my brush and the paints. Okay, drop of the green. I'm working kind of pretty messy, I would say, because there is some background already in here. Now, because I've got purple there, here I need to be more precise because I don't want this purple background there, so I need to have a slightly better coverage. Okay, next step, clean the brush, lots of water in, and we are swapping for a yellow. You can kind of, by adding the water, you can kind of almost blend those two colors together. And then blend them out. And the last one. So this one was quite nice and interesting because we've got blue in there. So when we add those yellow, the blue will change into the green, and I think that creates pretty nice middle of the flower already on its own. That's why I didn't want to cover it too much with the green. Okay, after this part is done, I'm going to outline some places with the flowers. So very watery white, like very watery. Get the brush into a nice shape, and then let's start outlining it. You don't want to heavy outline it. Oh gosh, losing my voice. Want to heavy outline it, just some places. And I kind of like when the petals are a little bit almost twisted. So by adding those wee lines, we give those kind of impression. Okay, then the ones on the bottom here, I want to outline them quite visible, just because the background is very similar color. And then give those twists. Again, give those twists. hardly any paint on my brush. Okay, then add some detail around the leaf. Weave in. Next one. So this one, I really love it, the way it looks, and the colors really stands out. So I'm just going to touch up some places, but not too much. That's enough. And then the last one. All those details change a lot. I can actually show you what else you could do. So a tiny bit, I can almost see like I've got a wee vein in there. And what I'm doing is I'm using the white to highlight this vein even more. So that will create a slightly different types of the petals. The vein is here. Then I've got another vein on this one and here. And another one in there. Okay, then on the top one, where would you place the line? I can see it in there. And in there. Separate it a little bit, the petal, just because the background was too similar. Clean the brush, leave the water on it. You can even kind of roll it in so it gets into the shape, put it on the side, and then using some old brush. Never use your good brushes, because if you would do it, and I'm terrible, I sometimes do it, you can see it, this brush is a little bit bended, and the reason for it being bended is because it was pressed like this way. So with the brushes, you don't want to use it for like a dots and things like that. Now we are going to pick up some white. I have took a smallest ever drop of the water, and then I've got some white because we need to add some, oh no, black. Let me do some black, because otherwise it wouldn't stand out. So the drop of the black. The drop of the black, very watery, like almost all water, so you've got like a watercolor paint. I have removed the excess of the paint and keep adding more water, because black is such a highly pigmented color that you want hardly any of it. Okay, you can see it. I'm just dragging the paint which I've got already there to create this rounded shape. They are actually fine to create. Okay, so another one, so more darker in here, and then just blend that out. So now I'm more using like a watercolor paint rather than the acrylic paints. And yes, they can be used for the watercolor design. I love this one, I love this one, and I love this one. I don't like this one now. I'm gutted I have used different color because I think it will look quite nice with all of them being the same color. And try to place your black more into the one angle. Do not place it all over. I mean, you kind of want to place it all over, but like very thin. And then in the one on the bottom, you want to have it much thicker. Same in here. Okay, and then we can take the old brush and add the dots. What I love, actually it's quite nice that we are painting on top of the matte surface, so the light doesn't reflect this much and you can see it, guys, more. But what I love about One Stroke is once it's finished and we put the top coat, it looks so much nicer. Now I'm just placing a row of the dots. So just like a wee tiny dots, to imitate the middle of the flower. Try to make them as small as possible, but some of them can go one on top of another, and this way you will create a quite nice thicker ones. And then couple in here. That's too much product on my brush. And then if I'm on the top, I want to place less of them. And the last one, they're actually pretty and they're not too complicated. I think it looks super cool. Okay, I need to just squeeze this brush because when I was painting the dots, it's kind of bends even more. So I'm just cleaning it, squeezing it, so it can behave a little bit better. Because I want those dots to be tiny. There we are, that's a nice one now. And the one on the top. And then I can show you the full results once we put the top coat, because that's when the one stroke comes up to life. So get rid of this mess so I don't put my hands in there. That's the first one. And I love it, like it's not over the top, it's just I mean it is over the top of the design, of the tip, but it's not over the top. Nice and small flower in there. So you can see it, how pretty it is once the top coat comes on top of it. Give it a cure. And then this one, I love it as well. Really nice. And it's blends so, I'm really gutted. I was scared the colors are not going to be visible, but actually even if they are on top of the same color range, they are visible. And I really like this look because it's just all kind of purple. You can see it. Guys, it looks really nice. That actually looks nice as well because I've got the same color here. Okay, it looks better. Actually, I like it more once the top coat is over it. Yeah, I like it much more once the top coat is over it. It looks pretty as well because it's we've got like those almost ombre with those violet going into the blue color. So that looks quite nice as well. And let's see the full combination of those designs which we have created today. And I hope you have guys learned something new. As I say, I have said it so many times, I love One Stroke because it's always so pretty and so effective. Okay, so I've got this ones and then another one. That's this one. I love this one. No, actually, I don't know which one is my favorite one. I think I love this one the most. But they all go together, like they do really all go together. It looks so interesting. And the last one, and it's funny because I didn't like it, now I like it, the last one as well, a lot. Yeah, it looks pretty actually. It does looks really pretty, the last one too. Yeah, beautiful, like actually perfect for a spring or a, yeah, springtime as well. A bit of color after the dull winter. I'm sending you lots of glittery hugs and bye for now.